A personal value is absolute or relative and ethical value, the assumption of which can be the basis for ethical action. A value system is a set of consistent values and measures. A principal value is a foundation upon which other values and measures of integrity are based. Some values are physiologically determined and are normally considered objective, such as a desire to avoid physical pain or to seek pleasure. Other values are considered subjective, vary across individuals and cultures, and are in many ways aligned with belief and belief systems. Types of values include ethical moral values, doctrinal ideological values, social values, and aesthetic values. It is debated whether some values that are not clearly physiologically determined, such as altruism, are intrinsic, and whether some, such as acquisitiveness, should be classified as vices or virtues. Values have been studied in various disciplines: anthropology, behavioral economics, business ethics, corporate governance, moral philosophy, political sciences, social psychology, sociology and theology, to name a few. Values can be defined as broad preference concerning appropriate courses of action or outcomes. As such, values reflect a person's sense of right and wrong or what ought to be. Equal rights for all, excellence deserves admiration, and people should be treated with respect and dignity are representative of values. Values tend to influence attitudes and behavior. Personal values, according to Maurice Massey, values form during three significant periods: imprint period, from birth to 7 years, modeling period, from 8 to 13 years, socialization period, from 13 to 21 years. Personal values provide an internal reference for what is good, beneficial, important, useful, beautiful, desirable, constructive, etc. Values generate behavior and help solve common human problems for survival by comparative rankings of value, the results of which provide answers to questions of why people do what they do and in what order they choose to do them. Over time, the public expression of personal values that groups of people find important in their day-to-day lives, lay the foundations of law, custom and tradition. Recent research has thereby stressed the implicit nature of value communication. Personal values exist in relation to cultural values, either in agreement with or divergence from prevailing norms. A culture is a social system that shares a set of common values, in which such values permit social expectations and collective understandings of the good, beautiful, constructive, etc. Without normative personal values, there would be no cultural reference against which to measure the virtue of individual values, and so culture identity would disintegrate. Wyatt Woodsmore points out that criteria are used to refer to the standards on which an evaluation is based. Values relate then to what one wants and in what order one wants them. Criteria can only refer to the evidences for achieving values and act as a comparative standard that one applies in order to evaluate whether goals have been met/values satisfied. Cultural values. Individual cultures emphasize values which their members broadly share. One can often identify the values of a society by noting which people receive honor or respect. In the United States of America, for example, professional athletes at the top levels in some sports receive more honor than university professors. Surveys show that voters in the United States would be reluctant to elect an atheist as president, suggesting that a belief in a God is a generally shared value. There is a difference between values clarification and cognitive moral education. Value clarification consists of helping people clarify what their lives are for and what is worth working for. It encourages students to define their own values and to understand others' values. Cognitive moral education builds on the belief that students should learn to value things like democracy and justice as their moral reasoning develops. Educationist Shavane Disnayak says personal and cultural values can vary according to the living standards of a person. Values relate to the norms of a culture, but they are more global and abstract than norms. Norms provide rules for behavior in specific situations, while values identify what should be judged as good or evil. While norms are standards, patterns, rules and guides of expected behavior, values are abstract concepts of what is important and worthwhile. Flying the national flag on a holiday is a norm, but it reflects the value of patriotism. Wearing dark clothing and appearing solemn are normative behaviors to manifest respect at a funeral. Different cultures reflect values differently and to different levels of emphasis. Over the last 3 decades, traditional-age college students have shown an increased interest in personal well-being and a decreased interest in the welfare of others. Values seem to have changed, affecting the beliefs and attitudes of the students. Members take part in a culture even if each member's personal values do not entirely agree with some of the normative values sanctioned in the culture. This reflects an individual's ability to synthesize and extract aspects valuable to them from the multiple subcultures they belong to. If a group member expresses a value that seriously conflicts with the group's norms, the group's authority may carry out various ways of encouraging conformity or stigmatizing the non-conforming behavior of that member. For example, imprisonment can result from conflict with social norms that the state has established as law. Furthermore, institutions in the global economy can genuinely respect values which are of 3 kinds based on a triangle of coherence. In the first instance, a value may come to expression within the World Trade Organization, as well as within the United Nations, particularly in the educational, scientific and cultural organization, providing a framework for global legitimacy through accountability. In the third instance, the expertise of member-driven international organizations and civil society depends on the incorporation of flexibility in the rules, to preserve the expression of identity in a globalized world. Nonetheless, in a warlike economic competition, differing views may contradict each other, particularly in the field of culture. Thus audiences in Europe may regard a movie as an artistic creation and grant it benefits from special treatment, while audiences in the United States may see it as mere entertainment, whatever its artistic merits. EU policies based on the notion of cultural exception can become juxtaposed with a policy of cultural specificity on the liberal Anglo-Saxon side. Indeed, international law traditionally treats films as property and the content of television programs as a service. Consequently, cultural interventionist policies get opposed to Anglo-Saxon liberal position, causing failures in international negotiations. See also, attitude, Clyde Kluckhohn and his value orientation theory. Ethics, Hofstede's framework for assessing culture, intercultural communication, Palladia, Roche Value Survey, Spiral Dynamics, The Cock and the Jewel, Value Theory, World Values Survey, References. External links, Value Association, an assessment for determining your personal, professional and digital value, quotations on value, Union of International Association, Human Values Online, a comprehensive database and analysis of values, Humanity Quest, a community and portal for the exploration of human spirits, values, attitudes, principles and emotions. Thematically exploring a growing list of over 500 human values, Respect Research Group, multidisciplinary research project on the value of interpersonal respect, with additional quotes, gallery, literature, integration of human values with education, 1, integral approach to evolutionary psychology based on Claire W. Graves' values system, 2, cnx.org, interaction values and beliefs.